A couple of years back, my friend Alex and I became extremely curious about the paranormal. I, of course, was a skeptic, so we would often try and find abandoned locations throughout New Jersey to debunk various things. Most places felt extremely normal in the day, but once it got dark, they did have an eerie feel to them. I knew it was mainly in my head though, so I didn't really classify these places as paranormal. Some notable locations that Alex and I have visited was 1754 House, Ephraim Asylum, and Empty Walls Mansion. These were locations we'd heard about, but there was one particular location, Essex Mountain Sanatorium. This is where Alex and I had our strangest experience. Let's start from the beginning. It was 10:30 in the morning. I was eating breakfast with my dad. My phone vibrates in my pocket as I scoop down the last of my Lucky Charms. Alex called me on the phone about an abandoned insane asylum somewhere near where we lived. I was extremely excited. I told him we should go there on Saturday and stay until like 2:30 in the morning. He agreed. My dad glances up and looks at me straight in the eyes with this creepy smile. So, Dopperbup, planning on doing anything different this time so you can actually see some ghosts? No. Do you have any ideas? I replied back. Well, there's this little game me and my drinking buddies used to play when we were camping. He replies with this wolfish grin on his face. He explains to me some sort of psychological experiment he used to do when he was younger. My dad only referred to it as the game. The instructions to play it were extremely simple. First, you must play the game between 2 AM and 4 AM. Second, you must be alone during this time. You must have no one else watching you. It helps you feel that loneliness factor better. And 3, you must go to an area with very little sound, no windows. It also must be pitch black with no lights. The last thing he told me is that you have to have all doors around you completely open, and they too must have no lights, sounds, or windows. You would sit in the middle of the room looking at the door that is open, or both if there are 2 doors. I told him I would try this when we get there. He nods and looks back at his newspaper. Fast forward to Saturday with Alex out in my front yard. He was wearing a red polo shirt and black shorts. He sort of looks like the Asian version of Tom Cruise, but a little bit shorter. Anyways, he picks me up, and about 2 to 4 hours in, we arrive at Essex Mountain Sanatorium. We arrived at night, so the place really did look creepy. We bolted to the front entrance and tried to open the front door. It was locked. We found a small window we could fit in, and immediately crawled through it. Pitch black. We couldn't see anything. Alex brought out his flashlight so we could see better. The area we ended up in wasn't so bad. It was a sleeping area for the patients, I think, so we didn't really freak out that much. Then I remembered about the game my dad told me about. I opened the door to the hallway and searched for rooms on which I could find the perfect room for the game. I found a medical room, so I went in to check it out. I told Alex behind me to go back in the bedroom area and stay there. He was confused, so I explained to him about my game. He reluctantly agreed. I set everything up and made sure there was no lights. I opened the doors and sat in the middle of the room, staring at the 2 doors. I waited, and suddenly I started seeing things. After 20 minutes of starting the game, I saw shadows and heard whispers, which I realized were my own. I glanced at the dark door to the left, and I saw a shadow outlined near the door. My brain started giving into the fear, and everything started getting worse. I started seeing my worst nightmares forming in the darkness. The grudge cult in particular took over most of my fears. In the corner of my eye, I saw someone's face. I knew I wasn't hallucinating. I stood up and ran like hell. I went back to the bedroom area and saw Alex, who was also frightened. We both pretty much jumped out the small opening. We went back to the car and started driving. We were silent for nearly 2 hours. I had the guts to finally speak. I asked Alex why he was frightened. And he told me during the whole time I was in that room on my own, he heard a woman screaming, and it was coming from the room I was in.